In this video, I'm delighted to be joined by JM of JM on Cars to talk about his channel, because how did you get started? Let's jump straight in. Where did it all start for you?
I've always liked cars. I was a film and TV camera person by trade, mostly low budget, little films that if I'm lucky, no one will ever heard of. Sort of stuff you bought in HMV for £5 when it was new, that kind of thing. I used to do that. I didn't like where that was going. I saw the industry was in a sort of race to the bottom with everyone wanting, you know, more for less, and I didn't want to be involved with that. And it's also very hard to compete against people that are in the business who don't need to earn money. So I was thinking of what to do. You know, I was in my mid-20s. I was unsatisfied that, you know, my dream career wasn't progressing. And I had lots and lots of camera kit that I built up over the years before. And I just thought, you know what, I'm young, I'm unmarried, I've no kids, nothing like that. Let's do something daft, like really genuinely stupid. You know, I'll sell all my kit, which is probably about 100 grand's worth by then. And I will just go and buy a Ferrari or something, and I'll muck around for a year and work out what it is that I actually want to do with my life. I was also thinking at the same time of like, well, you know, doing the man maths thing and thinking, wouldn't it be lovely if I could maybe somehow, in some small way in my mind, justify this ludicrous, luxurious expense and monetize it in some way. So I was originally thinking about the car rental bit, but the more I looked into it, the less appealing it became. And I realized suddenly one day, as I was, you know, researching what car I wanted to buy, I was on YouTube and I was watching people doing car reviews that I didn't think were done very well. And even the sort of the big players, as it were, in the scene at the time, I thought their technical production skills were quite poor. And I thought, hey, you know, I'm a trained camera person. Like, I can definitely do better than they can. So I thought, and I was thinking about buying a Lotus, and there wasn't really very much Lotus content out there. And as I live, you know, a couple of hours from the Lotus factory, I thought, you know, there's an opportunity here. There's my USP. You know, I'll make a channel about Lotus stuff because nobody else seems to be doing it. And I know that I can. And that's kind of how it started.
Wow. I see you've diversified somewhat since those days.
Yes.
But I mean, generally, the mix of cars on your channel is not what you'd expect. I mean, we've talked about Ferraris, Lotus, we've got a Porsche sitting here. Yeah. But that is not exclusively what you do by any stretch of the imagination, is it?
No, not at all. It started with very much a Lotus focus. In fact, the project on my computer, the folder where all my edits are, is still called the Lotus Project. I haven't had the heart to change it. You know, in all these years. And yeah, it started with a sort of Lotus focus. But one of the great things about Lotus people is that, unlike a lot of other brands, you know, so you'll get Honda people that have always had Hondas, the family's had Hondas, that's what they do. You say with Fords and Vauxhalls, you know, I know the Aussies get the GM Ford thing, whatever.
Quite.
And so Lotus people, though, nobody really started with a Lotus. They've all sort of arrived at a Lotus, mostly because they love the experience that it gives. So I did a lot of stuff with Lotus dealerships driving different Lotus cars, and then the Lotus owners started offering me their cars. And it kind of went from there.
So how many subscribers are you up to now?
168,000,
wow.
I think. And
did we start around the same sort of time? I was sort of back end of 2013, very slowly.
No, 2016, April or May 2016. You beat me to 50k.
Oh, wow.
I was very bitter about that.
So you've accelerated since?
Yeah, because you did the
faffing about on the other side of the world.
You did the forward control, I believe, at JLR Classic.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, and I was trailing by a couple of thousand subs because you'd started doing the daily videos ahead of going to Australia, New Zealand. Yeah. And I was having a bit of a lull, and then then I think I sort of joined you a little bit later. So yeah.
So impressive acceleration then.
Yeah, it was later, I think, that year I did a couple of videos about McLaren that did really quite well. So that, I mean, I think I got like 40,000 subs out of like one video. Yeah. Ultimately, so that did quite well.
Is that something you predicted, or is it just one of those surprising things where you just I wasn't expecting that?
Complete, total, genuine surprise. The video was made because my friend had bought a car, had some issues, but as you know, real timing and YouTube timing is quite distinct from one another. Yeah. So in the real world, stuff had happened over 2 months. But in YouTube, on Monday, it was, hey, here's my friend James with his new McLaren. And then on Wednesday, it was going to be, hey, here's my friend James with his new McLaren. And I wanted to explain that, no, in 24 hours, he hadn't gone and got a whole nother car. Something had happened which had, you know, forced the sequence of events, and I just thought it was one of these ludicrous tales that I thought was just entertaining, and also, you know, told people why these things had happened. And yeah, and then the video just exploded.
Well, people love a story, don't they?
Yes, they do.
That's the key. And if I had any more sense, I'd probably think more about stories, but instead I tend to just put cameras in cars and drive them and enjoy them. And
Guilty.
Yes. Again, one of the things that I like though is I think what really put you on my radar, I was already aware of your channel, but the one I jumped on almost the minute it was posted was the Vanden Plas Allegro.
Yes.
And gorgeous russet brown, I think.
Oh yes, russet brown with the walnut burr interior and
Picnic tables in the back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was the one. I mean, that's, you know, that's the holy grail to me of the Allegro. I'd never sampled one. That was a real, honest, pure curiosity. You know, to me, it's almost like, you know, I love my films. That's like the Plan 9 from outer space almost of cars, where you're like, some people, you know, everyone's spent so long telling you how bad it is, and you're like, well, could it really be that bad? And, you know,
yeah, I'm not going to spoil it. Don't give the ending away.
Yeah.
We want to know your video. People can go and watch the video.
Yes, you can.
But, yeah, it is surprising what stepping out of your comfort zone can do sometimes.
I love it. It's the absolute best thing about doing what I do. I've always been into cars, and the spare money that I had always went into cars. I always flipped between buying nice camera stuff, then I'd sell it, buy a car, then realise I didn't need the camera stuff to earn money, so I'd yo-yo. Now the cars are the thing that earns me money, which means I can justify slightly more, you know, eccentric purchases. But yeah, no, there's loads and loads and loads of stuff out there that I simply had no interest in to purchase, but that people offer me and bring me. It's the GSA as prime example.
Yeah,
like,
which is currently a tripod. There is
Yes.
a camera attached to the GSA.
Yeah, so, you know, had my life gone on as I originally planned it, never ever have probably, you know, sat foot in one of those. But when the opportunity presents itself, I'm like, yeah, absolutely. People offer me stuff, and occasionally you drive something that previously you've just written off, and you find actually this is really, really quite like this.
Yeah, and the other way around as well. I came here to drive this over 200,000 mile Porsche 944, and I'm thinking, well, I don't like sports cars, but you don't say no to an opportunity like that, and it's been a supremely interesting day. So you'll have to check out our own reports on these cars. So this one will be on my channel, and your review of the GSA will be on JM on Cars. So yeah, looking forward to it. Now, anyone who was at the Brooklyn Social will remember you turned up in a Ferrari.
Yes.
Which ended up parked next to a Ford Sierra Sapphire, a base model. And a lot of people, I was worried you were going to get flack for coming in such a car.
Yes, me too.
But actually the response seemed to be overwhelmingly positive. People seem to love the contrast.
No, it was honestly, Ian, it was fantastic. I was intending to bring this, but it went a bit hub nutty. So as it turned out, the Ferrari was the only thing on the driveway at that time I trusted to do. It was actually part of a much bigger journey that I was doing. But yeah, I was a little bit apprehensive about turning up to an event celebrating the average in a stripped out, racy, limited edition Ferrari. And honestly, the reception that I got was fantastic.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Anyone that knows me will know that I have a real bee in my bonnet about any event that has like an air of exclusivity about it.
To be fair, I'm probably a bit guilty of that. I've been a bit too much focusing on the cheap bangers and sort of deriding anyone who does anything else. But the more events I go to, especially any car event that seems to have retro in the title, inclusivity seems to be the buzzword, and
I don't mind.
That seems to have come across into the HubNut social.
I don't mind, you know, where people go like, look, you know, here today we're having a Ford thing, today we're doing this, today we're doing this. But ultimately, the events should really be about the shared passion, the love of the cars.
Yeah.
And I've seen advertised so many things with the word supercar in the title. You know, I am now lucky enough to be a supercar owner, and honestly, I couldn't think of anything worse. Just some of these events as well, the entry requirements, and you know, they'll say, yeah, you can join our club, but here's the list of cars that you must have. And if it's not, what gets me as well is that the list will be stuff that's not actually a supercar. You know, so that rankles me. And when I came to the social, you know, I know I'd messaged you in advance. I thought about springing myself on, Ian, but you know, I thought, no, I'll be polite.
Yeah, very
you know,
polite.
Be polite. And honestly, the diversity and the inclusivity of both the cars and the people really blew me away.
Yeah.
Honestly, everyone was so warm and welcoming, and they could very rightly have been like, "Oh,
yeah, what's that doing here?"
that prick turning up, looking down at us from his ivory tower." I was like, no, I was treated just the same as anyone else there. You know, people came up to me because they're interested in the Ferrari. Some of them knew my channel, some of them didn't. You know, I was probably, you know, gawping at stuff like the old Renault Espace that was there, the Opel Monza, the FB RX-7. You know, there's a great variety of stuff there. Loads I'm sure I've forgotten to mention. And I spoke to a load of people, a lot of other fledgling YouTubers who have been inspired by what you do.
Yeah, that's great. It's great to encourage more people because it just creates such a lovely scene.
It does. And
the way Hubner has developed the socials, the feeling of them, it's not like we've gone out of our way to do that. It's just the people who come just seem to be
it's
really,
brilliant
really nice.
because it is what you achieved with that is what I've always said cars have the ability to be, which is that, you know, for that event, you have many people from many different, you know, social, economic, you know, geographical backgrounds. And you know, everyone had an interesting story, but it didn't matter who they were, where they were from. We were all there for a shared love of cars.
Yeah.
Not one specific type of car, not new cars, not old cars, not cheap cars, not expensive cars, just cars.
Yeah.
And everybody there found, you know, I feel like I could have turned up there in anything and people would have still probably taken an interest.
Yeah, and it's just lovely and heartwarming that is the response to organising these events. But you get that sort of a crowd turning up. So yeah, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed your day.
I had a great time. We'll happily turn up to any others that I can. I wish I had more time, but you know full well what it's like. It's
hectic at times.
Just a little bit.
Well, thank you for a bit of insight into the world of JM.
Absolute pleasure.
So yeah, go and seek him out. You're on various social medias as well?
Yes, for my sins. I mean, YouTube's the main outlet, but Instagram, I am on. Facebook, I'm a bit useless. I am on Twitter. It's Instagram. It's Instagram and YouTube, really.
Right, yeah. Super. Well, thank you very much. We shall see you in a future video. Farewell.